everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com. Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I'm Eric in Barcelona, Spain, checking in with AJ. Today we are recording episode 116, which will be coming out on Wednesday, the 30th of March. Thank you to all you guys for being with us. Today, we've got a really cool interview with one of the contributing editors from thepointsguy.com. I had a great conversation with JT Genter, asked him a little bit about his experience with travel hacking and some of the strategies and techniques that he uses to stay on top of news. We talked specifically a little bit about mistake fares, which I thought was super interesting. So I'm really excited to share that interview and a whole bunch of links to resources that JT provided and some very cool articles that just really get into some of the nitty-gritty of advanced travel hacking. So we got some great content today. Before we get to the interview, AJ and I are going to talk a little bit about what's happened in the points and miles world in the last week. How's it going, AJ?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Very well. Happy to be in Barcelona. Been a pretty exciting last week as far as our business. We've been hustling away on getting our app, beta tests live. Looks like pretty soon, man. Probably in a few days.
It's been really nice to have you and George in the same place. Getting a lot of work done. Very, very excited to launch this, get some feedback from the people, and continue to build and improve.
Yeah, big thank you to everybody who registered for the beta test. You can do that at abroaders.com/app. We've got more than 300 people that are on the list ready to go. So I'm thinking in the next couple of days, we're probably going to start adding users. So yeah, super fun. All right. So to start out, I guess the biggest news, if you're just going to listen for a couple of minutes, is that today is the last day to sign up for the increased Starwood Preferred Guest offers. We could always find out that those offers come up, continue to be extended. But as of now, the deadline that's been declared is March 30th. So today's the last day to get a 35,000 point bonus. Typically, those bonuses have been at the 25,000 mark. So a significant increase in the number of points.
Yeah, and these are really, really valuable points. And one thing I think a lot of people gloss over is the transfer bonus you get to Starwood's partners. You get an extra 25% bonus when you transfer 20,000 points. So you're not looking at 35,000 points. After the spend is all said and done, you're looking at closer to 5 for 2, like 50,000 points or so.
Yeah, ideally. I mean, so one of the cards, the personal card is a 3,000 spend in 90 days. If you go for the business card, it's 5,000 spend in 90 days. So assuming, let's say you end up spending that 5,000, the 35 altogether with the credit for the spend you've made goes to 40, 2 transfers of 20 that each turn into 25. So you're looking at definitely enough points to make something happen travel-wise. And just to put this in perspective, so one of our good friends, Seth Miller from the Wandering Aramean website, has a very cool tool that lets you estimate your savings and the value of hotel points. It's actually a live search. We've referenced it a lot of other times, and I'm going to put a link in the show notes for the Hotel Hustle search engine. But on average, when you redeem SPG for hotel stays, and that's like the lower end of the value, you're getting 1.85 cents per point. So already blowing all the other hotel currencies out of the water. And our average cents per point with transfer. So basically, I just took in the weighted average of all of the transfer partners that we've ever used with customers and with our own points for Starwood. And it comes out to 3.11.
That's enormous.
But that doesn't even include the bonus, because what I did is looked at just sheer number 1-to-1 points. So if you add the transfer bonus in there, you're looking at closer to 3.9 cents per point on Starwood. That makes those bonuses super valuable and definitely worth considering if you qualify.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we also want to talk about. So you really should get this offer. You should probably get this offer if you do not have this card, but there are some reasons that you would not want to apply. So Eric, what are some reasons you wouldn't want to apply? The one that comes to my mind is possibly if you are going after some chase points and you're getting to the threshold of their funky 524 rule.
Yeah, okay. So a couple of, I guess, starting with the more basic, simple reasons. Number one, you should just know that you can't apply if you've already had either of these cards. So Amex's rules right now, they've fluctuated back and forth, but the rules right now say if you've ever had this product, you can't get the bonus. So that's number one, to rule yourself out. Number two, I guess, is sort of obvious, but if you don't have enough spend to be able to manage 3,000 or 5,000 in 90 days. And the last one related to Amex specifically is that there's also a 4 credit card rule for Amex. That's business and personal cards. So keep in mind, a lot of the best Amex products are charge cards. So the Amex Platinum card, the Premier Rewards Gold card, the Business Reward Golds, all those are charge cards. But the credit cards, where you actually have a line of credit and the option, although it's not a good idea to carry a balance, they only let you have a maximum of 4 of those. So if you already have 4 Amex cards, you're not willing to give one up in a reconsideration call, you might not be able to go for this offer. But assuming you would either be okay with calling reconsideration and saying, go ahead and close my Delta card so that I can open this SPG card, you're all clear there. Let's talk more about the Chase restriction. I think people might have missed that, and we also made a big mistake a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about this.
Yeah, we were under the impression that the rule had to do with 5 applications, which that is not the case.
And I don't know the person's name, so somebody in our wonderful reader and listener base reached out to us and just pointed out that we had misspoken on a previous episode. So the Chase 524 rule basically says that you cannot have opened 5 or more cards in the last 2 years, so in the last 24 months. So if you've opened 4 new cards, you're okay. If you've opened 5, they're likely to automatically deny you. There are some reports that people have talked their way around this if they're very high-value customers for Chase. So it's not the end of the world, but probably a reason to not go for a Chase card. And so the rule as it stands now is not whether you've applied for 5 cards in the last 24 months, but whether you've actually been approved. So in other words, a failed attempt, a hard inquiry that you didn't get approved for a card, isn't going to count against you for the 524.
However, there's another case that we were unaware of that comes into play, which is being an authorized user on a card. And if you're an authorized user on a card, let's say your wife applies for the Chase Sapphire card and then makes you an authorized user, that's not good because that's going to count against the 5 cards and you don't get the bonus for that card as it is. And like we said, because you're an authorized user, that's considered an open card, even though you didn't apply and get a sign-up bonus for the card.
Really good point. So what I want to do is I'm going to link in the show notes to a great article that breaks down the authorized user dilemma. And one of the best takeaways from this, if you're just looking for key points here, is that remember there's on the Chase Sapphire offer, which is $50,000 after spending $4,000 in 90 days. There's also a $5,000 bonus for adding an authorized user. So there's a big incentive there. It's kind of perverse the way they've got these incentives set up. Don't add too many authorized users. We don't want to see many open accounts. But if you happen to add one, we'll give you extra points. But what they suggest to do is consider adding a minor, somebody who's not going to be able to apply for a card on their own. If you've got a kid, you can, number one, help them build a positive credit history, assuming you have responsible use of credit. And it's not going to hurt them on their future applications, at least till they turn 18. So that might be one way out. If you sign up for a card and your wife doesn't want to take that extra open account that could hurt her on the 524
Put it in Joey's name.
Put it in little Joey's name, and nobody will be the wiser. All right, so I think that covers the stuff on the SPG. I guess one last note to let you guys know about is we got kind of an interesting opportunity. We don't have any affiliate links. We don't have any relationships with the banks. So if you sign up for a card on our site, we're happy to help you get those points, but we don't actually get paid for that. It's not really part of our business model at this point. However, we have a really good relationship with the folks over at AwardWallet. They're providing a lot of help in terms of the data and tracking of points that we're using to build the Abroaders app. And we've negotiated sort of an agreement with them that if we're able to send folks through their affiliate links, help them get paid,
as long as
we're going to be able to pass through some benefits to our users for free.
Yeah, as long as it's the best offer. We're never going to be sending you folks to AwardWallet's affiliate links if it's not the best offer. But if there's an option between helping out our friends over at AwardWallet for the same offer, we're going to do that. And you guys should know also, AwardWallet's done a hell of a lot to help us help our community. They really haven't needed to do what they've done because they're a pretty big and established operation, and they've definitely supported us in many ways that has helped us help the community.
Yep, they've been super generous with their time and also with helping us get the data we need to really build a great product that's going to help people actually get the points they need and use them for travel. So bottom line here, if you apply through Award Wallet's link, which is what you're going to find in the show notes, we're going to have a little survey there for you to just let us know if you got approved. It's total honor system, but we're definitely going to get free benefits. This will be things like free upgrades to Award Wallet Plus and some additional features that may be available to us to just pass out for free to you guys. So if you want to help out, that's one way you can do it.
All right, let's move on to, we've got an interesting, this Marriott situation is looking pretty good for Starwood. Starwood's got so for people that don't know, Marriott was going to acquire Starwood, and then some Chinese company came out of the blue and put in an offer way bigger than Marriott's. And so now Starwood is the pretty girl having everyone hit on them. And it looked like we said, like Marriott was going to acquire them, but now there's this Chinese company, and this has kind of turned into a little bit of a bidding war.
Yeah, so as a timeline, so last November, Marriott announced their intentions to buy Starwood. They basically made a deal. And then in March, a Chinese insurance group called Anbag comes out and makes a better offer. And Starwood likes the Chinese firm's deal a lot better. So they say, okay. And just a couple of days later, Marriott comes back with a significantly improved offer over their original and just edging out the one. So a competitive offer. And just the other day, it looks like the Chinese are back at it again with an even better offer. And the interesting thing here, I mean, I don't think there's really too much to follow with the drama of this, that, or the other thing, but I do think that it's probably better for travel hackers if the Chinese firm ends up winning this deal. And this is the best news that we've gotten in quite a while with this recent offer by the Chinese firm, because number one, they are now the best offer and pretty clear cut. And also, there's this $450 million breakup fee that was in the original deal between Starwood and Marriott. So in other words, back in November or whenever they actually closed that first round, they basically said, okay, this is going to be a deal. You're allowed to entertain better offers, but in the event you find a better offer that you want to go with, you're going to pay us $450 million for screwing this up. So we're not really sure whether the Chinese are going to foot the bill for that, or at least part of it. But it seems like now more than ever, there is a clear pathway that Marriott might not end up acquiring Starwood. That Starwood could turn down that offer, sell to this Chinese insurance company. And obviously there's a lot of unknowns still, but I think that would probably mean that the SPG points and their loyalty program would remain intact, that you wouldn't see 4 cent a point Starwood points get merged into half a cent a point Marriott points. And that would make me very sad. So I'd love to see the worst breakup ever between Starwood and Marriott.
Yeah, let's root for the Chinese, man. How about that? And there's actually a lot of action right now in the loyalty and airline world. We've got stuff going on. Apparently, Virgin America is shopping around. They'd like somebody that is interested in buying an airline because apparently they don't want to have it anymore.
Yeah, interesting that, Richard Branson, I really like Richard Branson just as a person. I think he's a really impressive entrepreneur, and he talks with so much passion about Virgin America that I was actually really surprised to see this. It seemed like this was like, the way he talks about it, it's like they're planning to take over the airline industry. I think every business leader sort of has to have that mentality, but at the same time be shrewd about potentially knowing that maybe they're in the best spot they're going to be in the next couple decades. Fuel prices are low. They've been very profitable. The competition landscape is starting to evolve with the new merger that's happened with U.S. Airways and American. So maybe this is the time. And so at any rate, it looks like Alaska and JetBlue are the two official bidding parties here. Obviously, there's lots of scenarios where this doesn't turn into anything and nobody makes an offer they're willing to accept. But I've got a pretty interesting article from Lucky over at 1 Mile at a Time. For those of you that are interested in sort of how the competitive airline industry works and some of the factors that come into play here, I thought the analysis that he made of the strategy, basically saying that in terms of the route network and in terms of the aircraft and sort of the way that the companies are set up, JetBlue probably has a much better deal as far as acquiring them, because JetBlue is really focused on the East Coast, right? JetBlue is out of New York. They're out of Fort Lauderdale.
Boston,
out of just, a ton of hubs there and not so much on the West Coast. And then Virgin America is big time in LA, big time in the Pacific Northwest. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of this. But if you guys are interested, we've got some more details in the show notes. And show notes for today's episode are going to be at abroaders.com/JT.
So we've got some manufactured spending news, something that we don't have a whole lot of. Seems like anytime there's an opportunity, it's gone, kind of the whack-a-mole dilemma. But we've got something that may be useful for people paying taxes coming up because tis the season. So we've got plastic, yeah?
Yeah, so this is a kind of an interesting offer just in the sense that they've got a promotional. So Plastic's general business model is that they will allow you to pay any vendor or that you need to that doesn't accept credit card payments. So this could be used to pay tuition, to pay your taxes, or any utility bills or rent or whatever just isn't going to be allowed to be paid with a credit card. And so what Plastic does is they charge you a 2.5% fee, and then they send a check over to the person that you owe money or the company that you owe money to. So the promotion here is that you can actually get up to $200 in a free payment. So in other words, $200 that's not going to be subject to the 2.5% fee just by signing up through the link that we've got in the show notes. So basically, all you have to know is that you want to pay one bill of around $20. It has to be $20 or more before you're going to get that free credit of $200. So in other words, ideally you want to find a bill that's close to $20 just so that you can end up paying only 50 cents, the 2.5% of roughly $20, and then get a $200 fee-free payment. So it could definitely be useful depending on how much you're paying in taxes. And the other nice benefit is if you invite friends to this and they also go through that process, and many of your friends may have an interest since taxes are coming up, you'll actually earn $400 in additional free transactions through the service just when your friend signs up and pays a $20 bill or more.
Yeah, that's pretty slick, very timely. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, and I think probably we're due for some more detail on that coming up sometime before tax season.
Yeah.
There's probably a few other ways, and frankly, I think you're completely right that things change pretty quickly for it to be useful. But when you're looking at a big payment, potentially a couple $1,000, at the very least, it's worth considering what the options might be. And
yeah, funny you mentioned that because I just got a Skype message from Vincent of Growth Ninja. Vincent's got a company that does Facebook ads, different lead generation, and that was just a question he asked me. Is this rate worth it for me to pay my taxes on a credit card? And it's the classic question of, well, it really depends. Are you trying to hit a minimum spend? Then yes, it's a great deal. If you're not, maybe not. But we'll check back in on that. Moving on to some other stuff. We've got some good news for Americans that want to go experience all of the tremendous things that Argentina has to offer because they have suspended their $160 reciprocity fee for U.S. citizens, where what the reciprocity means is we charge all these other countries a certain amount of money to come in, so then they charge us what we charge them.
Yep.
And they are suspending that, which is nice because if you're doing a South American tour, it can add up. You've got the Brazil visa, you've got Argentina, if you want to stop in Santiago. Next thing you know, you spent like $500 or $600 just getting into these countries.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. I think both of us have already paid this fee. It does last for 10 years, so if you already paid it, this doesn't necessarily help you. But right now, they've just sort of unilaterally removed their fee. So I'm pretty sure the U.S. still charges Argentines that fee.
I'm confident the U.S.
Economically, it makes sense. I would love that the U.S. wouldn't charge that fee, so Argentines could come visit the U.S. and not have that huge amount of money. But frankly, it makes a lot of sense. You're essentially saying, I'm going to charge you a bunch of extra money to come spend your money here. So good news for folks wanting to travel to Argentina. You're not going to see that fee, and that is already active. So it went live on March 24th. So you're already fee-free. So you can put that in your beer fund or even better wine fund.
But man, even think if you want to do a little tour with the family, $160 a head. That adds up. You're talking,
we're always traveling alone. I didn't really think about the logistics.
Man, that's something I thought about the other day. I saw a big family, and I'm like, wow, that's just gotta be expensive.
That's a lot of checked bag fees. That's a lot of It makes even more difference if you've got the right cards and the right planning strategy. If you've got more people on your itinerary. Just one other note with respect to the whole travel freedom campaign here. Brazil does still have a big visa fee. However, keep in mind that if you're planning a trip to Brazil that now might be including Argentina, you don't need a visa if it's during the Olympics. I don't have the exact date, but you're going to be able to find that information with a nice little Google search. So if you're already headed to South America to check out the Olympics in Rio in August, keep in mind now that no visa required for Brazil, and now no reciprocity fee if you want to hop across to Argentina.
Yeah, not the worst time to visit Brazil. So the nice thing about the Olympics, unlike the World Cup, it's not going to shut the country down. The Olympics are going to be in and around Rio, or if you want to go to Sao Paulo, if you want to go to the northeast, the beaches near Salvador, or in the south, Florianopolis, you're going to get to experience Brazil essentially visa-free, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. You've got to get a proper visa. You're dealing with, sending in your passport places and consulates and all that shit. And it's close to a couple $100, maybe $180, $200. So definitely an opportunity to check out Brazil on the cheap and without actually having to go through all of the nonsense of getting visas.
All right, so last news item before we jump into the interview, we got a tip from one of our listeners that Amex Offers has a $10 offer to give you a statement credit on your mobile phone bill. So I'm pretty sure this is eligible for T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint. And basically all you got to do is add your card. You need to add the offer to the card first. So go to Amex and log into your online banking and check out the Amex offers. It's really prominently displayed, so it's super easy to find. And then just scroll down until you find that credit. You need to add the offer to your card first, and then go sign up and add that credit card as your billing payment method with your mobile phone provider. And that's going to give you a $10 statement credit. So thanks for listening. We love you guys. Hope you enjoy your $10.
Awesome, yeah. And remember, show notes are at abrothers.com/JT.
All right, let's get to the interview.
How about it?
Well, I guess to get started, can you give me just a little bit of background about what you do and how you got into travel hacking?
Yeah, so it actually started started my hobby. It was October 2014, and I was looking at booking a flight to China. My wife is a PhD student at university, and she's on the RoboCup team, which is a robot soccer team.
Okay.
And, so she's definitely smarter than I am. I just try to keep up with her. But there's an annual competition once a year that's during the summer, and it's in different places all around the world. And in 2015 summer, there was going to be one in Hefei, China, city I'd never heard of, in a small city in China of just 7 million. One of those cities.
Yeah, one of those small multi-million population cities that nobody knows about in China.
You know how that goes.
Before you go too far, I have to ask, so is this like building robots that play soccer? Like, how does this work?
Well, yeah, so there's a variety of different leagues in RoboCup.
Super cool. All right, so this was like one of your first trips that you planned out with Miles, or I guess tell me about the process of getting figured out how to get to China.
So, sorry, building up that. So it's in Hefei, China, which, city that, I needed to fly into, but I didn't really want to fly out of. But looking at open jaws on paid fares, and they were pretty expensive, especially for summer. It's going to be about $2,000, and so I was like, there's got to be a better way. And at the time, I kind of lucked out. The Chase Seat card was running the 70,000 point bonus, which brilliantly enough was exactly the number of points I needed for 2 one-ways, one to China and one from China. And kind of the rest is history. I was able to book a one-way into Hefei and one-way back from Beijing, all for $100 of taxes and fees, and the $95 annual fee that I had to pay on the ink. So I was hooked. I was able to save $1,800 on a flight, and I was wondering if I could do that over and over. And since I've generated about 2.4 million more miles and points through about 37 credit card signups.
Wow. Okay. So you definitely took pretty much the same path as me with like a very slow, I'll just get this one card. And as soon as you were able to make it work, you kind of went to the absolute other extreme and really started focusing on accumulating points and miles. Tell me a little bit about your plan this year. I saw on your blog that you've got some pretty cool plans. Looks like at least 8 countries, leaving open some other options.
Yeah, well, so some of those are going to only be Katie. Katie's traveling a lot for conferences all throughout the world, and some of those are only Katie, but I'll be doing actually kind of a day trip to Kuala Lumpur on a mileage run that I got on American Airlines for think it's $547. That'll help me qualify for platinum this year and help my wife qualify for executive platinum, and taking advantage of the bonuses before they switch over to the revenue-based program later this year. So we're doing that in about a month. So just seeing Kuala Lumpur for a day, and then I'm flying into Oslo, Norway, as part of another airfare that I found from Oslo to San Antonio, which is near where I live in Austin. Business class for $600, which will help me actually position back to Europe for RoboCup. So
very cool.
Got a bunch of fun trips planned, and then after RoboCup, which is in Leipzig, Germany this year, we're going to be traveling to Poland, Budapest, and a couple other countries. My wife is putting that together because I'm in the throes of tax season right now. Haven't had much time to plan that.
Very good. Tell me a little bit. So one of the things I'm always curious about is couples. When you plan together around points, it can become a little bit more complicated in the sense that obviously you have to have enough points in each of your own account to be able to redeem a full ticket. Some programs, obviously, you can buy a ticket for someone else without them necessarily even having to be your family member. But tell me a little bit about how you guys plan credit card applications and try and sort of manage your portfolio of points so that you've got enough in each of your accounts to give you maximum flexibility.
Well, yeah, right now we're in like super point hoarding stage. We haven't switched over into the primarily redemption stage. So I'm imagining that's going to be a challenge to find, two seats together on awards and stuff like that. But thankfully, when we'll be traveling, we'll have a really flexible schedule, and we'll be more like chasing availability with some destinations in mind, rather than looking for flights from this place to this place on this day only.
Yeah.
So,
definitely, that makes it a lot easier when you've got at least some general flexibility about when you travel, and especially if you can choose the order of travel within reason without having to double back too much. So good, man.
Well, then also talking about planning, we have a wide variety of points and trying to diversify. Obviously the major Amex membership rewards, Chase Ultimate rewards, and City Thank You Point. And actually, City Thank You Points have been very helpful recently as we tried to get my wife up to executive platinum for travel she's going to do for conferences, and also just mileage runs. The City Thank You Points are really, really valuable. So, with American Airlines, you get the 1.6 value. So that's definitely how we're able to redeem while getting exactly the flights that we want.
Very cool. And just to clarify, so that's using the Prestige card, which sort of adds extra value by giving you a higher cents per point when you redeem. But you do have to have the Prestige card. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so sort of leveled up the thank you points I already had from the Premier by getting the Prestige card just last November.
Very cool. I noticed in some of the posts that you've written, you've actually done an amazing job with a couple of resources that we use. I want to link in the show notes to your post on the ITA matrix, and also one about tools for cheap flights. What is your sort of process like just in terms of monitoring for great opportunities to buy flights versus using points? And do you have any sort of daily or weekly routine that kind of keeps you on top? Because at least for me, we have a team, we got a bunch of people that are helping with trying to keep track, and it can be a lot to keep up with as far as all the mistake fares and being able to find out sort of where there's good opportunities. Can you kind of tell me how you manage that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of an over the top procedure that I have. I have email alerts from various deal blogs and that sort of stuff, and different tools to alert me when things are getting popular on other sites.
Okay.
And then as far as daily checks, I've got this tab in Chrome. It's just called Daily Check. I think right now it's about 72 tabs that open up, and probably about 45 of them are Google Flights related. Various flights that we're looking at booking at some point, or a lot of those Google Flights Explorer, which is a great resource, and just Austin to Asia on American anytime in this 2-month period for 0 to 5 days or whatever. Looking for those mileage runs. That's just an example. Just have a bunch of those set up and then just kind of flip through them looking for anything that pops.
Okay, so just to clarify and get a little more detail, I know that a lot of times, like when you search on Google Flights, for example, the URL reflects the search anyway. So what you're doing is basically just bookmarking a type of search if it's US to Asia within a certain set of dates, and then just saving that and then opening them all at once and then just clicking through to see if the updated page has a price that jumps out to you as especially good.
Yeah, and that's actually how I stumbled across that awesome Austin to Kuala Lumpur for $547, which is an incredible deal for over 20,000 flight miles. Especially with my wife has the platinum status on American, so she's able to get 40,000 redeemable miles from that. And it was just something I stumbled across one morning when flipping through through my tab.
Very cool. Okay. And I also saw a really awesome tactic. I'm going to link to the post that you have on the tools for cheap flights. But just like using if this, then that to bring stuff in from RSS and send it to email. Is that something you do with a lot of sites, or kind of how do you utilize that tool to just make it easier to get through all the websites faster?
Yeah, absolutely. I use the heck out of that tool, and that's one way find out about other flight deals. Unfortunately, flights or sites like the Flight Deal and Fair Deal Alerts and Secret Flight. A lot of these don't have flights from Austin, but some of them will have from Houston and Dallas. And I definitely have alerts set up to tell me every flight deal that goes out of Houston or Dallas. And so, right now that's sort of a painful thing since I'm working full time, and even with 3 weeks of vacation, which is probably above average for most Americans. It's painful to see these flight deals come through and be like, I just can't, unless I just quit my job right now. I just can't take that deal.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I think a lot of people that listen with our podcast as well are also sort of in a position of building up points and not quite having the flexibility yet to be able to travel whenever they want, but want to be in a position where it's very cheap once they do get some additional location freedom. Tell me a little bit about your strategy. Is that the long-term game plan to be able to be location independent and earn money, or are you looking to just sort of maximize the vacation time you're going to have for the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife is finishing up her PhD program at University of Texas at Austin. Hopefully in the next year, we're hoping that she can finish up. And I'm a tax accountant right now. I've already told my employer that, hey, I'll be staying through, obviously this tax season and next tax season, but after that, we're going to be gone. So we're going to be location independent, digital nomads, hoping to travel around wherever the winds take us, wherever flight deals may take us, or if there's nothing to a particular place that we want to go, then we'll redeem awards. And like I said, we're in major hoarding mode. We got about 2.1 billion Muslim points right now that we'll be able to dig into to hopefully extend out our travel as long as we possibly can.
Very cool. Okay. So I know in addition to your own blog, a lot of the articles I've referenced are on the pointsguy.com, which we use. There's a lot of great resources on that website. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got to start writing with the Points Guy, and just kind of tell the story of how that got started? I'm sure there's lots of folks that would be interested in contributing content on some of the big blogs out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I kind of stumbled into. This year, about this time, the Points Guy had a South by Southwest happy hour. I was a huge fan of the site. I was just, really getting into the credit card, picking up those sweet ones like the Chase Sapphire. I had the Ink was my first card, picking up those fundamental ones. And huge fan of the Points Guy myself, and I looked back actually at the message that I sent because it was like email how technology has changed travel, and we'll pick the best answers and invite you to the happy hour. And I think I was a little desperate. I was like, please, you have to pick me. And they did, thankfully. I don't know if they just felt sorry for me or what. But so I was getting to talk with some of the TPG team at the happy hour, and I was telling them about this flight deal blog that I was trying to get off the ground. That's kind of right now all I do is reblog the best deals. There's JT's Flight Deals is on Facebook, and I was finding all these flight deals and posting them and trying to get affiliate links. and it didn't really work out. But I was telling them, hey, I developed some of these tools, and I could help feed you guys these flight deals. And they were actually really interested in that. So I was doing that for a while and helping source some flight deals for them. And so I kept sending them these ones like, hey, Air China's got this incredible deal, $500 from Houston to Beijing. And they're like, no one wants to fly Air China. They kind of explained that to me. I was like, well, I'll fly it. And they're like, well, if you fly it, well, write up a flight review. And so that's actually how it started. I flew Air China from San Francisco over to Beijing for that first trip I ever redeemed with miles. And it was a 747-800. I wrote up the flight review. And then on my way back, actually, from China, I took the Lufthansa A380 from Beijing to Frankfurt because I went the long way around coming home. And the Air Canada Dreamliner from Zurich to Toronto. So I wrote those 3 flight reviews and then pitched some other ideas that I had. And sort of the rest is history. It just snowballed into where I'm a regular contributor.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. And, sounds like I think a lot of times people sort of sometimes think that it's actually harder than it needs to be to get involved or build that relationship. I think that, we've had a ton of people that have reached out to us about doing content, and honestly, the ones that actually follow through and write the post, if we suggest like, hey, it'd be great if you could write a little bit more about that. It's amazing to me how rarely people actually have that follow through. And I think clearly, when you actually took the flight and actually sent up a review, which by the way, I've read through a bunch of your business class reviews and just flight reviews in general, and they're super high quality. So I can totally see why that worked out.
Well, yeah, and the Points guy has a very excellent process, and you make sure you get photos, this and that. Is they want to make sure that all the content is very high quality. We're redoing some of the flight reviews that we've done, in the early stages of the blog, where the photos weren't great, or we didn't talk about this aspect or whatever. We're kind of going back and re-reviewing some of the same products because we want all the content to be top notch.
Awesome, man. As far as the TJ's flight deals or JT's flight deals on Facebook, is that still a place where people can go if they don't want to set up all 72 tabs for themselves and want to get some of the good flight deals that are coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I said, it's really just a reblog now because I do still follow all of these flight deals besides, for Secret Fly and the flight deal, fair deal alert. When there's a really incredible one, I'll post it on there. I'll, just share their post on JT's flight deals. And that's one of the things that kind of annoys me about the flight deal, even if they've got, top-notch, flight deals. They've also got a ton of flight deals every day. I mean, I think they put out 15 a day.
Yeah.
And so it's hard if you're trying to just, pull through for the, the airfares and the ones that are, really relevant to you. And so, because I'm doing all that work, I figure I might as well help people out and repost the best ones.
Yeah, it definitely makes it. It is a lot of information. I mean, it can take hours of time to review all of the stuff that's out there. So I think it's super valuable to have somebody that can kind of just pick out the ones that are really exceptional and maybe weed out or filter out some of the ones that are not quite as exciting or just not quite as far out of the normal. Because boy, it really hurts when you miss like a $600 business class mistake fare because you thought it was, you just skimmed through it. And you're like, oh, 600's crap for economy, and you didn't notice the key part that it's a $3,000 ticket that they dropped a comma or put something in the wrong place.
Absolutely.
Cool, man.
Yeah, they've definitely freaked me out because I do have a variety of alerts set up, and been reloading my server at Walmart or something like that. And here comes an email in where they messed up a digit, and it's been $147 to Peru, and I'm like frantically dropping everything to put that flight, and they're like, oh, sorry, we meant 547. Like, dang it.
Yeah, man. Well, I get a couple more questions just because you clearly have like really broad knowledge of what's happening with miles and points across the board. Tell me, Americans program just devalued. A lot of people that had, depended on that as one of the easier ways to get one world availability on business class. What programs do you think are going to be most valuable going forward outside of just trying to diversify and having enough points in a lot of programs? What do you think are sort of the best programs over the next year or so with the information that we have at the moment?
Well, the American devaluation, we're all talking about it because it just happened, and there's some zones that are just brutal, like that 67,000 up to 115,000 or whatever it is. That just this brutal jump. But there's still tons of value. I mean, I'm working with an artist that is kind of making it now, and so he's able to fly business class, and showing him flight availability to fly to Europe in business class on American, and 50 to 57.5 isn't that huge of a jump, for his situation at least. And so there's still plenty of value in the American one, but we're also focusing on United, and obviously the ones that transfer to United, like Chase Ultimate Rewards for our type of travel, because we're hoping to really take advantage of those stopover rules that United has for our travel. So I really think it just depends on what you're looking for in a redemption, and is that the truth about the whole game? You don't want to make sure you have a ton of Southwest points when you're looking at fly to Europe.
Sure.
You need to have the right points for your situation, and so for us that means focusing a lot on United and Star Alliance, as well as we've got a ton of American miles, because we're hoping to really get a lot of value out of my wife's executive platinum status through 2017.
Very cool. Okay. And I think, honestly, I feel like I agree pretty strongly with it that Americans still got a lot of benefits, with the exception of potentially being a bit more of a challenge to find availability to Europe and not have that be part of British Airways. It's still, I think, still going to remain one of my favorite programs. United also, and with Chase Ultimate Rewards, I think that's a super powerful combo where it's pretty easy to get points quickly. Do you have any other favorites? One that I haven't used much at all is Alaska. And with the Starwood benefit, the 2 credit card offers being at an all-time high, I think some people are definitely taking a look at Alaska for the first time. Have you had any experience with that, and any thoughts on the program as a third place to try and accumulate miles?
Yeah, well, actually, thanks for a reminder, because Alaska is another one that I believe they still allow the stopovers, and so we've got a couple of Alaska cards. We're building up our pile of those as well, and that's obviously another program that can be very important for certain circumstances. Obviously, if you're looking at I think it's the Emirates first class, business class that post that the guy did a couple of months ago that kind of went viral about how he signed up for 4 credit cards and flew in first class over to Europe and Emirates. And, if you're looking for those type of awesome redemptions, obviously Alaska can let you get there, but also I think Brothers covered this, the using Alaska miles to fly on American's old chart, if you will. Did you guys post about that?
I think we on our blog.
Yeah, am I missed something?
Possibly. I'm not sure. Although there's now at this point there's actually some posts that we've put out that I'm not totally sure. So we'll give it a check. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would absolutely agree that Alaska now, after AA, especially to Asia, has access to a lot of the same partners in terms of Cathay and American at better prices, more attractive prices for flights across the Pacific. And if you are looking to combine one-ways, in particular, if maybe you do an American redemption outbound or a United redemption outbound and need to do the return on another program, Alaska's cool in that it's one of the only programs, I think with the exception of maybe Korean, that lets you do a one-way with a stopover, and the stopover isn't contingent on having it be a round-trip travel.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be utilizing that when we're doing our travel. But yeah, that's actually a great point that you brought up. for my first redemption, I had to was able to fly Trans-Pacific over to Asia, but there was literally no availability out of anywhere in Asia this peak summer travel on United miles that I could find, at least, back to North America. And so I was able to string together flights through Europe, which was perfectly fine with me because I love to fly, I love to travel. But yeah, having a diversity of programs would help. If you are able to do a one-way out on one program and a one-way back on another program, having a diversity of points would help to get.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for spending some time sharing all of your resources and some of your knowledge. I think it's super inspirational for me to talk with people that started out kind of in the same spot and are now in a position where they can do tons of travel thanks to points and miles. If folks want to read more and get to know you a little bit better, what's sort of the best place that they can go to find your posts and check out some of the resources that you've written about?
Yeah, absolutely. My main place that I post content is on the Points Guy, up to about 50 articles, about 7 or 8 of those of which are flight reviews and then a variety of news. So Points Guy is definitely where my main content goes up, but wherever my wife and I travel, we post on our blog, which we have just a blog spot, which we really need to make it look more pretty, but the content is there. It's jtkd.com.
Okay.
And, that's sort of our travel blog and also resources. So, we took advantage of the Etihad airfare to fly down to Johannesburg last April. And so we wrote about our whole trip there. And then, afterwards we followed up with posts about, okay, well, here's how we got cell phone down in South Africa for just, I think it was like $30. So we had a cell phone for a couple of weeks. And different tips like that. So travelers like us don't have to recreate the wheel every time they travel somewhere. We want to be able to give people these resources, remember to do this and remember to do this, and here's the step-by-step of how we did this. And so we really design it as a resource for travelers for the destinations that we did.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always helpful to have somebody with personal experience in a location. You can spend a lot of time digging through crap, and if you find a good resource, something simple like knowing where to get set up with a cell phone or understanding how transportation works to and from the airport can save you a ton of time, lots of headaches. So I noticed I've seen a couple of very cool posts on your site and on the Points Guy that you wrote that I think will help people out a lot. So I'm going to do my best, everybody, to get lots of these resources into the show notes. And then if you do have any other questions, JT's got a ton of experience traveling all over the world. So please feel free to reach out through his website or on Twitter.
All right. Awesome.
Cool, man. Thanks a ton. It was great talking with you.
It was great talking with you too.
This week's track is from the band The Pixies, a Boston band, with the track Where Is My Mind? And for what it's worth, for the music enthusiast, supposedly the famous Bono said that he wished U2 was as good as the Pixies. So for what that's worth, enjoy.
Hey brothers, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week.